Today I am checking out a couple new Schrade models. These are some Schrade OTFs, and yeah, I do believe these ones are assembled in the USA. Don't quote me on that, but I think the parts are made overseas, shipped here, and then assembled here. Now these are OTFs, double action automatic knives, and I know Schrade recently has been bringing back some models, one back to the USA, which I totally respect and I applaud, and I hope they continue to do. However, and as much as I don't want to do this, I have to be honest, but these are not great. These are not great, and I want Schrade so bad, guys, to do really well. I truly do. I am truly rooting for them, but this just isn't it. This just is not it. These are OTF models for about $100, at least from what I can find. Maybe some places are more affordable, but from what I've seen, they're $100. $100, and they're D2 steel, right? D2 steel with I think this is aluminum. It almost feels like plastic. Textured aluminum handle. Yeah, so these are aluminum handles, D2 steel, and the issues that I have with them, so let me just go over some things I really like first. One, the action, well, it sounds like crap. It functions very well. I have yet to have had a misfire. It hasn't failed on me. They seem pretty tough, so I'll give them that. It does snap out there really nice. The button is actually a nice how do you say it? Actuator. It's a great actuator. You have a lot of traction there. It feels good in the hand. You can easily do it with your almost with your pointer finger forward. I know I can do it. Well, anyways, you can easily pull it back with your pointer finger. There we go. You can easily deploy it with your right or left hand. Anyways, you can easily deploy it. That's what I'm trying to say. It is easy to deploy, nice rapid deployment. It does have a nice clean braking action, opening and closing. The size of it, decent size. I mean, it is not a big knife, but it's also not super small. Like I said, they feel fairly durable. I know the geometry on these is definitely durable. The clip will probably work just fine for most jeans. I didn't have an issue with it. This one has a glass breaker. This one does not. Now, what are my issues, right? Because so far it sounds like everything's pretty much good. Well, it's little details, right? So for $100, D2 is not it. If it's USA made D2, then maybe if it's got a really good heat treatment, but from overseas D2, it's just not the best D2. But that's not even my thing though. I don't even care about that, but typically you don't want to pay more than like 40 bucks for D2, 40, 50 bucks. Typically, it depends on the handle materials for sure, and considering this is an OTF with aluminum handles, I can understand why it would be more than that, right? So that's like kind of not really my issue here. I don't mind D2 as much. I think D2 is just fine for this, even for the price. But the grinds are super thick with, they're not sharp. This isn't sharp up here anyways, and I do love a bayonet style blade shape or, a spear point blade. Love a spear point blade. But this one is not sharp like at all. I mean, and then because the edge angle is so high, then if you look, it's kind of a wonky grind. Like it's not even from one side to the other. It has some, as you can see how big the bevel is on this side compared to this side. Just little things like that all the way around, even down to when you get down to here, it kind of almost recurves in a little bit. Like it's a little more narrow right here than it is right here. So a lot of little details like that, I expect from a $30 OTF. So other things, I don't like the big branding, man. It looks horrible. I don't care if it's your brand name. No, most people don't want that. Most people do not want to walk around with Schrade hanging out of their pocket. We used to make fun of SOG for that. And I used to always say, nobody wants to walk around with a thing hanging out of their pocket screaming, SOG. You know, because everywhere you look, it's sog, 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 sog. The blade would say sog, the handle would say sog, the clip would say sog, the damn pivot would say sog, everything would say sog. And that's kind of the way I feel here. You got Uproar here, Schrade here, the logo there, just another logo here, just so much. And it looks cheap. It looks cheap. It looks like a $20 OTF. That's what it looks like. And you can buy them. You can buy $20 OTFs, very similar quality to this. So, and listen to that. The springs are just, this one's a little better, but I can still hear it. So because of that, you know, the sound, you know, because with OTFs, especially quality OTFs, and I'm not trying to say this needs to feel like a $400 OTF. I'm not saying that at all. You know, a $100 OTF of good quality is a good, you know, would be a basically an affordable price for if it was good quality. But these, I say, I would put in the lower quality for a high price. Like I said, you can buy $30, $40 OTFs with the exact same, if not better quality, to be honest. So considering that, it makes me look at these like I don't want to pay more than that. Now, if these were 100% USA made, I would bitch about the USA made part. Like I would say, whoa, guys, why are you guys even doing this? Like, we don't want America being represented. Man, I feel like I'm saying a lot of mean stuff. I should stop. What I'm trying to say is that this just isn't it. This is not it. This is a $30 knife. I personally would not recommend it. Not unless it was like 30 bucks. And 30 bucks, it's okay. It's whatever. It's cool. But it's just the little details, man. And I am more than happy. And I'm not trying to sound, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like on a pedestal or anything like that, but I am so willing to help any one of these American companies without ever making a video. Without ever making a video, just communication, talking, or you know, just even show them or let them know what one, the community wants, but two, what, you know, the expectations are, especially as somebody who gets thousands of knives through their hands a year. Like, I test everything pretty much out there. So I get to touch everything and I get to know like the differences, and there's little details that scream quality, and then there's little details that scream poor quality or cheap. For an example, big branding. That typically, now I know you can say, well, Microtech uses big, yeah, but typically, typically you don't want to do that. There's a reason why most custom knives, that are good quality, by the way, good quality custom knives, they have like their logo on the, just a little logo, right? Just maybe their logo somewhere, something like that. But they don't have it billboarded all across the knife. And that's just one thing, you know. There's so many other things you can go into, from the grind, you know, the type of sharpening job, or the, you know, the grind on the edge, I should say. And this is another thing. So with something like this, with D2 steel, okay, so D2 steel, we know it's a very budget-friendly steel right now. That's very, very affordable, that holds an edge anywhere between 9CR and a little bit better than 154 CM. You know, and the reason why it's such a wide range, because that is a wide range, you can actually get D2 to cut even longer than S35 VN. For sure, it can, but that's typically under custom heat treat with, you know, very small batch. But when you start getting into mass-produced D2, it's more difficult for companies to heat treat well, and heat treat where it's consistent across the board. And there's been tons of testings on them, and generally they're cutting about 9CR level. 9CR, 10CR. Sometimes you get some exceptions, I'll be honest, there are some exceptions, but here's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to get at that when you see an edge like this, I typically think it's burnt. Now, here's the bad thing about that, is that if it is burnt, this is so thick behind the edge, sharpening it. Look at how much life I have to sharpen off. I have like almost no life to sharpen off of this because it's a narrow blade, which is fine if it's a narrow blade, but it's so thick thick and so narrow that when I sharpen it, it's just going to get thicker. So now, unless if I lower back my edge bevel, it's not going to get very sharp. And then if I do lower back my edge bevel, the bevel's going to be all the way up to here. It's going to be the entire blade basically, because there's such a narrow spot to sharpen. Now these are mostly for pokey, which I get, you know, scoring something using the tip. It's basically what it's for. So a lot of times people aren't really worried about slicing with these. So I understand that. And in that case, you know, that's fine. If you're typically just buying a knife to use as, you know, something where you can just open stuff up, you know, or poke something, then that's fine. You know, it's going to work just fine for that, for sure. Regardless of the steel or anything else. But anyways, like I said, you know, I don't want to talk negative about Schrade. I really, truly am rooting for them, and I hope they continue to send knives to the channel. Because they did send me these, by the way, and I hope they continue to do that. I would love to feature more of them on the channel. I would love to root for them. I'd love to see them do great work. I will say there was one knife that I wound up coming around to from Schrade that is a USA made one, and I actually like it, especially after the price got lowered. I think they're going for about like $150 now. It has S35 yen. It's a crossbar lock. I still have mine, and I've used it actually quite a bit. Not like a ridiculous amount, but enough to where I've gained an opinion on it. And I actually came around to it a lot more than I thought in the beginning. In the beginning, the price was a little bit high, and that was what was kind of turning me off by it. But as far as the knife goes, yeah, I have, you know, a bunch of nitpicks and stuff, but as far as the quality of the knife, I mean, it's a good knife. It's a solid knife. It works. It feels plenty tough. But I do think that they, like a lot of companies, and this isn't just Schrade here that I'm talking about, so this goes for a lot of companies, a lot of USA companies. Geometry is important. Your cutting geometry is so important. Thick geometry doesn't get as sharp, well, it depends on, you know, a lot of factors, but it typically doesn't cut as well. Typically edge retention doesn't last as long. You know, there's a lot of toughness in it. So yeah, toughness is a factor. But with a lot of knives, you know, the toughness it's a folding knife in many cases. This isn't a folding knife, but I'm saying in a lot of cases they're folding knives and they're as thick as a fixed blade, and it's like just doesn't make sense. And you could enhance the knife so much by just doing thinner geometry, by making it slicier. Now in this case, I get it because it's pokey. They want to make sure this tip doesn't break off. This is, you know, going to be probably beat on pretty much. You know, whoever buys is probably going to beat the hell out of it. So I understand to some extent why they want a little bit thicker geometry, because they probably had, you know, a lot of knives tested and people are breaking blades and stuff like that. So I kind of understand it, but just saying, if you're trying to appeal to the knife, like to knife guys that actually know knives pretty well, and they're not just, you know, carrying one knife until it dies. They have, you know, a few knives and they recycle their knives out, and, you know, they like to buy knives. Typically you're wanting to make sure you hit certain quality aspects on your knife, because those guys are going to be a little pickier. Now, if your market is the guy who's just going to buy a knife and beat the hell out of it until it breaks down, throw it away, and then buy a new one, then yeah, whatever. I mean, what are you going to do, right? At that point, it's like, you know, you got to do what works for you as the company. But I do know, or do think, that you get to choose what category you want to be in. You know, and it's going to be based off of the quality and the things that the company does, and a lot of other factors. But anyways, regardless, like I said, I do hope to see more Schrades on the channel. I hope that this doesn't steer them away from sending knives to, you know, to check out and review so the community can see. I know sometimes, you know, when you do a video like this, it can make companies never call you back. So, but hopefully they do. And, you know, and I would, like I said, I'm open to talk to any company in any way, shape, or form, to just, you know, try to give a little input at any point. So if you guys like this type of content, I'm going to put some cards up on the screen for you to click on. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.